Hey, what's shaking, everyone? So, I got some good news for everybody. As hard as it is to actually believe, in 3 short weeks, we're going to have some spectacular debates between Trump and Biden. And the first one, well, it should be good news to most conservatives out there. Fox News is actually going to be hosting the first one. The problem is the moderator. And also, the problem is Fox News as well. Let me elaborate. Now, first off, Chris Wallace is probably the worst choice that could have been made to represent Fox News. Now, for public opinion's sake, Fox News is the only right-wing outlet out there, and they are so gung-ho pro-Trump, but everybody always thinks of Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham for a little bit. But if you watch the rest of the stuff during the day or at any time off primetime hours, they're really just a milquetoast or even anti-Trump a little bit. And if there's one person that perfectly encapsulates that entire overarching narrative, it's definitely Chris Wallace. But let's read the good news to begin with. Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace has been selected to moderate the first presidential debate between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. The nonpartisan commission on presidential debates announced Wednesday. Wallace will moderate the first debate, which is scheduled to take place Tuesday, September 29th, the housekeeping aside. So it was celebrated by the CEO of Fox News Media. Oh, yep. Revered as the gold standard in journalism, Chris has the innate ability to cut to the heart of the issues that matter most to viewers while holding his interview subjects accountable to the facts, like no other journalist in this industry. His debate moderator performance in 2016 was truly masterful, and we are beyond excited to watch him brilliantly perform his craft once again. Suzanne Scott, CEO of Fox News Media. Okay, there were several highlights in the debates in 2016 between Clinton and Trump. I watched all three debates and obviously the election day coverage. I don't remember a fucking thing that Chris Wallace did. Now, that could be a good thing and that could also be a bad thing as well, because I remember... Which one did CNN host where Anderson Cooper was absolutely going out of his way to, well, not even tee up Hillary Clinton, set the ball on the post and tell everybody to get out of the infield so she could bunt her way past the pitcher's mound. It was despicable. And, well, Chris Wallace and Donald Trump have a pretty significant past. And we look here to the most recent excursion between the two. They had in late July there, they had their infamous interview watched by 6 million people. And I've got CNN pulled up here for a reason, because Fox News, as much as they like to be the voice for the other side, you know, we're Fox News, you got ABC, you got CNN, MSNBC, you got those guys over there on the left, we're speaking up for the guys on the right. Fox so desperately wants to be a part of the mainstream. They don't want this rebel attitude. That's why they've hired guys in the past like, well, Chris Wallace to begin with, Shepard Smith, guys who were just so not even close to being conservatives or even having a conservative voice. And then we just go down a couple of the points that they got to in this grill session. It was less of a interview. It was more or less we're going to hold Trump's feet to the fire. The big takeaway from that interview was when Donald Trump said Joe Biden wants to defund the police. Chris Wallace said, sir, I believe that's not right. Or something to that effect. I'm not getting the terms right, but I'm getting the sentiment correct. And the big thing coming to that was, Trump saying to an aide off screen, okay, let's go, let's get that information. The fact of the matter is, Joe Biden has never said he wants to defund the police. But He was also asked if he would be behind reallocating funds to the police. He was behind that. He agreed with that in an interview. It's a part of the Bernie Sanders unity plan. Reallocation of funds, which it doesn't take a rocket scientist to rub two brain cells together to figure out that defund and reallocate are the exact same thing. So take all the semantics you want, Chris. The fact that you went so hard at the president in that interview, would just sit there and argue semantics over the actual point that both of you were trying to make is just despicable. Even though that's the most recent example of what's happened, it's not, in my opinion, the most egregious example of Chris Wallace's, I won't say hatred, but I will say disdain. Now, at the Newseum last year, he gave this excoriating speech. Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace told a crowd at the Newseum that President Donald Trump is engaged in the most direct, sustained assault on freedom of the press in our history. The president's attacks have done some damage, Wallace said, noting a Freedom Forum Institute poll that 29% of Americans think First Amendment goes too far, and 77% think that fake news is a serious threat to our democracy. He has done everything he can to undercut the media, to try to delegitimize us, and I think his purpose is clear, to raise doubts when we report critically about him and his administration that we can be trusted, Wallace said. I don't have to cite cases for you. The president gets taken out of context and everything that he says gets spun. Some of the stuff has a bit of truth to it, therefore it becomes a lot more plausible in the eyes of the public. Atlantic article that's about a week old now that's all crap, and it's also a good example of having one underlying fact that you can rework to kind of make the rest of the shit that's surrounding your article seem plausible-ish. For Chris Wallace to claim that President Trump's not being fair to the media that slanders him constantly, you really just have to look at your fellow journalists out there to realize that not everybody has the same integrity that you claim to have, Chris. This wouldn't be such a big deal if the fact that I didn't think that Fox News itself, maybe it's not compromised as much as it's shifting. Because the big overlords, News Corp, and it's run by Rupert Murdoch's at the top, and then his two kids were at the bottom. I've got another article pulled up here. Murdoch family split follows Biden donations, climate science fight. Well then, James Murdoch, who, with his wife Catherine, has donated over $1 million to presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's victory fund. And he also resigned from News Corp board of directors Friday. He's been with News Corp since 2013 in that role. Murdoch is the son of media mogul Rupert Murdoch. We've already been through that. Long story short, he was not exactly happy with Fox News would present news stories. James has a bit of a liberal tint to him, if you couldn't tell by the fact that him and his wife donated $1 million to Biden when his father's a staunch conservative, along with his brother as well, and the fact that he was on the board should serve as a bit of a heads up as to the shift that Fox News has undergone. After Roger Ailes left, it became a lot more, not quite lefty, but a lot more centrist and a lot more mainstreamy. A bunch of their, off the cuff, these shows like Red Eye, Greg Gutfeld's show got pushed up, and then he himself got added into the 5 to dilute those opinion shows. It lost any of the little grit or the bit of the appeal, kind of like how when MTV got started, I know this is a super abstract analogy, but follow me. When MTV first got started, it was kind of gritty, counterculture to any of the other popular music that was out there. And that's what Fox News kind of tried to do with reporting. Like, it would provide the different opinion shows that you weren't seeing anywhere else. And now, all you see is just the same milquetoast ideas over and over again outside of Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity. So to me, it would have made a lot more sense if the commission for the presidential debates would have chosen somebody a lot more neutral. Because as I've described, Chris Wallace is anything but neutral towards the president. Sure, he has gone after Joe Biden in the recent past, but that was more or less a DNC attack. Leading up to the DNC, they didn't send anybody out to any of the Sunday news shows. And Chris Wallace said it was the damnedest thing he's ever seen. That wasn't a direct attack against Joe Biden like the previously mentioned Newseum speech, that atrocious interview that he had with Trump. If Fox News was gonna have somebody impartial, they should have just had Brett Baier, like the man with the squarest head on TV. The guy who every time I turn the channel to Fox News and I see him, I just think, boy, that looks like Christopher Reeve would have made better choices at the stable that day. What a head of hair on that creep. So these debates aren't going to be the bloodbath that I think everybody's kind of hoping them to be. I see them as being very, very carefully moderated and curated to suit Joe Biden's remaining strengths. They're going to be taking care of him, giving him very simple, direct questions, making sure that Trump stays on that exact same path. And in the presidential debates in 2016, I think you all remember the most important, most impactful points was where Trump was going off script, playing to the audience, which isn't going to be a factor in these debates. It's just going to be the moderator, Biden, and Trump. So don't get your hopes up too much. The best we can hope for is a couple of Joe Bidenisms where he forgets where the fuck he is and somebody's going to have to slap him back to reality. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like my analysis, if you could hit that subscribe button or drop a like, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to keep doing these videos every single day, and hopefully you can join me for that. Anyways, guys, I've been Khan-Swaylo. I want you to follow your gut, get after it. Take care, everyone.